Greetings, friends. Today I would like to talk about catharsis. Catharsis through music, through film, and life experiences. Catharsis is defined as a release of emotional tension as after an overwhelming experience that restores or refreshes the spirit. And throughout my life, I have experienced this many times through music, film, and life experiences. And I decided to show a couple of examples that maybe will inspire you to recognize catharsis in your life and the value of reaching catharsis through art and experiences. I arrived on this topic while scrolling Instagram Reels when I ran across a short clip of the band Camp Ghost playing a very simple song with very few lyrics. It's actually a cover song. The name of the song is Woodbury Town Center by the band Widow Dusk, but it was performed by Camp Ghost. It's very simple and it's performed in this basic room. The band is on the floor with the crowd. It's not on a stage. And it starts off very quiet, as a lot of emo/alternative songs kind of do. It's a kind of a rock trope, the loud, quiet, loud thing. And so it starts off with nice little chords, and then it breaks into a section where they're shouting the chorus, or shouting the lyrics, which are very few. They're shouting the lyrics, and the crowd is shouting the lyrics, and the clip made me flash back on something I love about those kinds of experiences, and that is a shared catharsis with a crowd of like-minded people. And I just kept coming back to that clip because it was very inspiring to see these young people creating this environment for shared catharsis. And I could just see it in the faces of the kids as they shouted along the lyrics and just kind of rocked out so hard. And it got me emotional and got me kind of in my own catharsis, because I had experienced that feeling so much, and to see these really young people go through it it just made me hopeful that this kind of thing still exists for kids, for young people to have this outlet. So the lyrics of the song are very simple and probably lead to the kind of catharsis that I'm talking about. So the lyrics are: rotting in my soul, baby, please come home. And it's just repeated over and over. And the kids are all screaming it as the music is playing really loud, and they're all kind of just enjoying themselves, and I can see kind of a shared catharsis, which is that release of emotional tension, and it comes from the building of the tension through the music, and then the explosion of the distorted chords and the shouted along lyrics, and also the nature of the lyrics: rotting in my soul, baby, please come home. It's not Shakespeare, but to a young person who perhaps has experienced their first heartbreak recently, or is trying to grapple with becoming an adult and everything that entails, that can mean a lot. And you see it in the faces of the kids there. And it's what started me down this road thinking about catharsis and catharsis through art, and how much it means to me and how valuable it is. And so I'm going to show the clip right now, and then we'll talk a little bit about it. So that's beautiful. It's lovely for me to see the look on the kids' faces, the looks on the kids' faces. It just shows me the kind of emotional release that they're getting from this art, and the shared catharsis they're all going through as they express this vague feeling of it's like unity through pain, and just the good vibe of being around a bunch of people who can relate and rocking out to some good music while they're doing it. And it really inspired me to see that, and I gotta give props to the people that make that happen, the band and the venue, and the kids bringing the good vibes. And really, there's in that particular clip, there's a lack of phones. There is some, but people recording. Obviously, there's somebody recording to get that video, but in many musical situations nowadays, you'll just see so many phones and people not participating as much. And I don't think that is very conducive for the kind of cathartic moments that can be had like this one. So watching that video got me kind of inspired to think about catharsis and recognize it in my life and the times that it has affected me and allowed me to have that emotional release that is visible on some of these kids' faces. And it's really beautiful. I've been coming back to this video so many times just to watch certain people and see how they're releasing their emotions, and it's very nostalgic to me because I've had those kind of moments, those kind of musical moments, and I know many people have. I've shared that clip with my son and some friends, and it never fails to bring a smile to people's face and kind of a wistful memory of how it used to be for us. So yeah, I just wanted to share that one in particular because that's what really sent me down this road of thinking about catharsis. Another example of musical catharsis that I've experienced is listening to the song What Sarah Said by Death Cab for Cutie. This particular song deals with death and the death of a loved one and the feelings and the mundane reality surrounding what leads up to the passing of someone. It starts off with some delicate chords, just a 3-chord progression. It's kind of extended for a while. And the lyrics are poetic. I think Ben Gibbard writes the lyrics, if I'm not mistaken, but he's got such a way with words, if that is him. I'm pretty sure it is. The lyricism and poetic nature of his writing is just amazing to me. It's something I aspire to as a songwriter, and it's a little bit frustrating because I find it so pathetic and, empathetic. I feel like some of my writing is kind of pathetic compared to what he puts out there. Just his wordplay and the imagery that he chooses to use. It's very good. It's hard to put into words. It's art, Art is hard to put into words. It's beautiful poetry. And this particular song exemplifies for me catharsis through poetic lyrics leading to a really intense emotional release. And I'll just read the lyrics real quick. And it came to me that every plan is a tiny prayer to Father Time, as I stared at my shoes in the ICU that reeked of piss and 409. And I rationed my breaths as I said to myself that I'd already taken too much today. As each descending peak on the LCD took you a little further away from me. Amongst the vending machines and year-old magazines, in a place we only say goodbye, it stung like a violent wind that our memories depend on a faulty camera in our minds. And I knew that you were a truth I would rather lose than to have never lain beside it all. And I looked around at all the eyes on the ground as the TV entertained itself. 'Cause there's no comfort in the waiting room, just nervous paces bracing for bad news. But I'm thinking of what Sarah said, that love is watching someone die. So who's gonna watch you die? So who's gonna watch you die? So who's gonna watch you die? Oof, man. Those lyrics coupled with the beautiful melody and the building of tension with the musical bed bring strong emotions to me as I get to as the collective we, listening, playing, get to the last few words there. Especially there's a big pause between, but I'm thinking of what Sarah said, and then there's a big pause, and then it says, that love is watching someone die. And that brings you to a certain point of like a harsh truth that many people have experienced. And then it takes you to the next step, which is, so who's going to watch you die? And then that's repeated. And I think that's just a masterful use of building tension and anxiety through relating the process of being with someone as they're dying and grappling with loss, and also the fear of being alone when you die, and the big question mark of what happens after you die. And I believe that is a great example of catharsis, because it brings me in particular, and I think other people, to a release of emotion as we get to that point in the song where it says love is watching someone die, and then who's going to watch you die. I think for me, I can't speak for other people, but for me, it allows me to understand that the feelings I've gone through watching my loved ones die are not solitary feelings that I've gone through just by myself, and that this is a phenomenon that everybody has to deal with, and it's somewhat comforting. And it's kind of beyond words when you get into the realm of the feelings around death and grief, and it's hard to really put it into words, but it's comforting in a way. And I remember watching it live up north at the Greek Theater in Berkeley, and when the crescendo of the song happened and he said, love is watching someone die, I started crying. And I looked around at that point, and there was a few people in tears, and it wasn't as sad as you'd think. People are crying. It was kind of like a shared emotional release. I find that crying isn't necessarily a negative thing. You can cry from pain, and you can cry from transition, and the acknowledgement of inner pain, which is kind of a breakthrough. I once heard that the most pain you can feel is holding back pain, rather than just admitting to yourself that this hurts and I'm hurting, and then allow yourself to have that emotional release. The holding back of that pain is much more difficult than allowing it to go through you and allowing yourself to process it. And I think that was some sort of teaching I heard from some Buddhist teacher at some point in my life. But it's really served me well as I find myself going through things and realizing, yeah, this hurts, and I'm in pain, and I'm sad, or I'm angry, and that's okay, and acknowledge that, and there's no reason to stop there. you can feel the feelings and go through them. And things like the song, What Sarah Said, and those moments like those children, those kids in that room rocking out together, they really exemplify that, going through something, and rather than getting stuck at a certain point in the process. So that's, for me, that kind of exemplifies catharsis through music and shared experience with, especially with a crowd, and you're all going through it. And it doesn't even have to be just lyrical. Like in the first clip, you could barely hear the lyrics. Some of the kids probably didn't even know the lyrics. But you have musical experiences where you have quiet moments. Then you have like a breakdown, and it's really intense. And with music, it can be beyond words. The release, because you're just, it's on a level that words are not on. It's more of like a feeling kind of thing. It's quiet, it's relaxed, and then it's intense, and then maybe it goes back to quiet. And if you vibe with that kind of music that's playing, then you can go through that journey, and it can be therapeutic to release some emotions and have that cathartic moment that I'm talking about. Lastly, I'd like to talk about catharsis through film. Maybe you could classify it as catharsis through theater, through stories. Anyway, this particular example for me is through film, and it's through my favorite movie, which all my friends know because I forced them to watch it, is It's a Wonderful Life. It's an old movie, black and white, Jimmy Stewart. It's a Christmas movie, perhaps the darkest Christmas movie ever, as it deals with a lot of dark themes. So throughout the film, you see the main character going through struggle. He's a good guy, and he tries to do the best he can, and he's always sacrificing for other people, and he's slowly becoming more resentful. The tone of the movie is kind of lighthearted for a while, and as the tragedies and problems around him that he has to sacrifice to help, as they multiply, he becomes more and more resentful and angry, and just kind of nihilistic perhaps, but he spirals down a dark kind of thought pattern where he feels the only option is to leave the world, is to end his life, and it's intense. It's very intense, and so I won't explain the whole movie. It's a movie from the 40s. I'm sure I'm not giving any spoilers, but what happens is he goes to end his life, and he's interrupted by an angel who shows him his whole life, or excuse me, he shows him the whole town if he had never been born. And he is led on a tour of the whole town, and he just becomes increasingly more agitated as he sees the fact that he had made a great positive impact on the life of the people around him and the town in general. just from being there and doing the little things that he did. And it's very relatable to me, and I imagine many people, as we feel like, wow, we're just doing our best and things keep coming up, and now I have to pay this, and oh my God, this person is sick, and everything just keeps happening, and you try to do a good job at living a good life and being as selfless as you can. But it seems like you're not getting the reward that you deserve. And the key that this film brings me to, and other people to, is gratitude. And you need to be grateful for the blessings of life that are many, and we just kind of gloss over them, and we become consumed with envy and anger and jealousy and fear and so many things, when gratitude is really beneficial to resonate with, and it will help us get through the hard stuff. So the angel shows him the whole town and how bad it is, because he's never been there, and the people that have been affected by his absence, and it's terrible compared to how the town was when he was there, and it starts to show him that he needs to be grateful for the little things that he has that aren't really little things, like his family and his wife and his friends and his relatives and the silly buildings and everything. And so it comes to a point in the movie where he's still in the alternative world where he doesn't live, where he never existed. And he wants back. He wants to get back. He wants to get back to the world that he was in, where he was about to go to jail. and it was going to be scandal and all sorts of stuff. But he was still grateful, because the world without him was no good, and he didn't appreciate it. And he was shown by the angel that he really did have a wonderful life. And people can write it off as cheesy, and that's okay. Maybe it is cheesy. But it does bring me to an emotional release. And many people, I think it might be kind of hard not to cry at the end of this movie. Because he goes back to he's running around after all these altercations in the alternative world where he never existed. And he runs back to the bridge where he was going to end his life before. And he prays and he says, oh, just get me back, get me back. And then there's a moment where it starts snowing. And this is the moment of catharsis that I'm talking about. He's in his darkest depths there. It's just so sad that he threw it all away. And it starts snowing. And it wasn't snowing in the alternative world, but it was snowing in the regular world when he tried the first time to end his life. And somebody comes up to him and they recognize him, and his eyes light up. And he says, "Oh, you know me?" And then he realizes he's back in the world that he should be grateful for being in, and that he makes a beautiful impact on. And he runs through the town and he's super excited, and it's so cathartic. It's such a clear example of catharsis. The emotional release is very apparent, and it's emotional. It evokes a strong feeling in the person watching. And I've watched many reactions of people on YouTube watching this movie, and especially young people. They start watching it and like, what is this? This is silly. Whatever. What's going on? It's a black and white movie. It's really long. It's cheesy. And then by the end, they're just like a blubbering mess. Like I have been several times watching this, because there's a catharsis that happens with his realization that he should be grateful, and he really had a good life, and he has a good life, and we have a good life in general. We go through a lot of stuff, and it all depends on what you want to concentrate on. But right now I'll show a little clip of him during this cathartic moment of realizing he's back, and you'll get a little bit of an idea of what I'm talking about.
Clarence! Clarence! Help me, Clarence! Get me back! Get me back! I don't care what happens to me! Get me back to my wife and kids! Help me, Clarence, please! Please! I want to live again! I want to live again! I want to live again. Please, God, let me live again. Hey, George! George! You all right? Hey, what's the matter?
Now get out of here, Bert, or I'll hit you again. Get out of here.
What the Sam Hill you yelling for, George?
George. Bert, do you know me?
Know you? Huh, you kidding? I've been looking all over town trying to find you. I saw your car piled into that tree down there, and I thought maybe you... Hey, your mouth's bleeding. Are you sure you're all right?
What you... My mouth's bleeding, Bert! My mouth's bleeding! Zuzu's pedals. Zuzu... There they are! Bert! What do you know about that? Merry Christmas!
Well, Merry Christmas.
Merry! Merry! Yay! Yay! Hello, Bedford Falls! Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas, George!
Merry Christmas, movie house! Merry Christmas, Emporium! Merry Christmas, you wonderful old Billy alone! Hey! Merry Christmas, Mr. Potter!
Happy New Year to you! In jail. Go on home, they're waiting for you.
Mary! 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 Well, hello, Mr. Bank Examiner. How are...
Mr. Bailey, there's a deficit.
I know, $8,000.
George, I've got a little paper.
I'll bet it's a warrant for my arrest. Isn't it wonderful? I'm going to jail. Merry Christmas. Reporters are... Where's Mary? Mary! Oh, look at this wonderful old drafty house. Mary! 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 Have you seen my wife?
Merry Christmas, Daddy!
Kids! Pete! Oh. Kids! Janie, Tommy! Let me look at you. Oh, I could eat you up. Where's your mother?
She went looking for you. With Uncle Billy. Daddy!
Zuzu, my little ginger snap. How do you feel?
Fine. Not a smidge of temper.
Not a smidge of... Hallelujah.
Hello. George!
Mary.
Darling, where are you? George, darling, where are you? Oh, George, Mary. George. George.
Let me touch you. Are you real?
George.
Well, you have no idea what's happened to me.
You have no idea what happened.
That is a very clear example of catharsis through film. There's a few other examples I could probably come up with, but this one resonates strongly with me. And I highly recommend you watch the movie. Perhaps someday I will do a deep dive on the movie and talk about all the things regarding it that I like. Everything has its issues, but I really enjoy the whole story of the tension and resentment and anger and jealousy building in this good man that turns around as he finds gratitude. And it's beautiful, and I highly recommend it. Again, I've forced so many people to watch that. It makes me laugh, but I think that's about it. I just wanted to talk a little bit about catharsis and how it serves as a way for me to help purge my emotions, to help get through things. When I'm feeling down, listening to some music that resonates with me, that has that sort of build up, whether lyrically or musically, and then release, it's very helpful to get through the hard times in life. And film. Every year I watch this movie. I hunker down in my room by myself and I watch the whole thing. Over and over every year. I even watch people reacting to it because it fills me with hope, and it allows me to have that cathartic moment when I realize, and when George in the film realizes, that he needs to be grateful and that life is beautiful. We have struggles that we go through, and it's not easy to go through these struggles. But the majority of my life and most people's lives is very pleasant and nice, and I'm encountering pleasant people that want to have conversations, and the sun is shining and it feels great on my face, and the wind through my little bit of hair that I have left, and the sound of children playing, and seeing families together, and so many things in life to be grateful for. And sometimes I need those cathartic moments inspired by art to get through the negative feelings and back to the gratitude. The gratitude and exuberance that I see on those kids' faces in the first video that I showed. So here's to hoping that you find it in your life, those cathartic moments that help us get through. And that's it for now. I'll see you all soon.